A junction box is one way that you can extend or branch a circuit in your home so you can put outlets or lights exactly where you want them to be. And by putting a junction box in an unfinished area, it avoids the extra work of taking down more walls to run wires. If you're thinking of adding or working on a junction box in your home, here are 5 mistakes that I've seen DIYers make when they're wiring junction boxes. Now, I also have a video on some mistakes people make when they're installing the junction boxes, and I'll link to that in the description down below. Before I get to the mistakes, let me briefly review the basics of wiring a junction box. So the most common situation is where you have one wire carrying power coming into the junction box, and that provides power to 2 other wires that go out of the junction box. Wiring an junction box needs to follow the same standards that wiring in any device box follow. You have to make sure that you securely clamp the wires in the box. You have to cut the sheathing back so you have a 1/4 inch of sheathing showing inside the clamp inside the box. You need to strip the black and white wires to the length that you need to strip them to for connecting them, either through a wire nut or through a WAGO connector. And if you're using a wire nut, you need to twist them together before you put the wire nut on. Now, junction boxes can be used in many different wiring situations, but the basics are always the same. You connect like wires to each other securely so that that initial circuit that comes in then continues on in those other 2 branches. Mistake 1 is not grounding a metal junction box. Metal junction boxes need to be grounded even though they don't have any devices in them. So put one of the ground wires below the grounding screw in the box and then twist that together with all the other ground wires before putting a wire nut on them. If you have a plastic junction box, twist all of the ground wires together, put a wire nut on them, and push them into the back of the box. Mistake 2 is having too many wires coming into the junction box. This single gang box that's being used as a junction box clearly has way too many wires coming in. The number of wires that you can have coming into a junction box is calculated using what's called a device box fill calculation. Anytime you have more than 3 cables coming into a junction box, you need to perform this calculation. The calculation depends on the size of the wires and the number of wires inside each of those cables. I have found this video to be a good basic tutorial on how to understand the box fill calculation and how to actually perform it. If you're using metal junction boxes, in the video, he talks about the plastic junction boxes actually having some of the information printed inside. Metal junction boxes don't have that. So you'll have to go to either the manufacturer's or the retailer's website to look up the information about what the cubic inch fill capacity of each box is. You can also find online calculators for this box fill calculation. Now, if I only have 3 wires, I typically will use an octagonal box because that'll fit 3 wires, no problem. But if I have more than 3 wires, that's when I would use a 2-gang device box because it is much larger and can fit more wires. For both of these, you can also get extra depth boxes, which gives you more capacity for more wires. Mistake 3 is not using a wire nut or WAGO connector to connect the wires. In the past, in let's say the 1950s, you'll find this, they would just twist the wires together and wrap tape around it, and that was okay. But that's not okay now. Here's what you should do instead. Take the 3 wires, get them close, and then I'm going to take my pliers, twist them together, making sure that they're all properly twisted, good connections there. Make sure the tip isn't sticking out, and I can grab my wire nut, put that on so it's nice and tight. Now we have a good solid connection. An alternative to wire nuts are these WAGO connectors. These are lever connectors where you flip the levers up and then you can put the wires underneath, flip the levers down to connect them. They have 3-wire and 5-wire connectors, which help when you have to connect a lot of wires in a box. You make sure that the wire goes all the way in, always do a pull test, and then it's an alternative to a wire nut. Now, one of the nice things about these Wago connectors is on the end here, there's actually a tester port. So you can put a tester in there in order to test if there's live circuit. This is especially helpful when you're connecting the black or live wires. As I mentioned before, even for the ground wires, I like to add a wire nut on there as well. The next two mistakes are really for when you're working on a junction box that already has been wired and you want to check it or make some modifications. And so mistake number 4 is not using a non-contact voltage tester to check that there is no power running into this junction box. A non-contact voltage tester allows you to test to see if there's power flowing through a wire without undoing the wire nut. So what you do is you take your non-contact voltage tester. Now, before testing any wires, always test it on a known live wire. Easiest way to do this is actually to put it into the small slot in a standard receptacle outlet, and that'll tell you that this is detecting correctly. Then go to your wires and touch it to each of the wires outside and inside the box to make sure that there is no power flowing through any of those wires before you do anything in this box. Mistake 5 is not double checking that there's no live power in the box. With a non-contact voltage tester, sometimes it can give false readings that there's no power there. So here's what you should do to confirm that there's no power in any of the wires in that junction box. Once you've checked with the non-contact voltage tester, carefully move the black wires a little bit out and remove the wire nut, making sure not to touch those wires. Then get your voltage tester. This is the Sperry one that I use. It's really a great tester. Place one probe on the ground wire at the back and the other probe on the black wires to confirm that there is no power in those black wires. If you're using a Wago connector, again, the Wago connector has a testing port here at the end. So you can use your voltage tester, place again one on the ground, and place the other probe in that testing port, and then you'll be able to check. If there's more than one set of black wires connected in the junction box, make sure you check all of the black wires to confirm that none of them are live. Junction boxes are a common part of the electrical system in many of our homes. And with some knowledge, you can safely install or work with junction boxes in your home. I'll link to some of the tools and products that I've shown you in this video in the description down below. If you want to watch the video on some mistakes that people make when they're installing junction boxes, here's that video. Thanks for watching.